Welcome to Sightseeing Japan, the podcast where we explore the land of deep respect. I'm Paul Bresson.
And I'm Jason Nealing. How's it going, Paul?
Not bad, not bad.
Good. I have an idea I want to run by you.
Okay.
And I'd like to welcome our listeners' feedback as well on this. You've said that you like kind of just talking about whatever a little bit at the beginning, just to get loose and like get into the groove, right? But I feel like sometimes it stretches out a bit, and I end up just rambling for 10 minutes, and then it just feels like that's a little too long to get to the topic of the episode. So here's my proposal.
Okay.
When we're recording, we talk about random stuff at the beginning. Where I was thinking like maybe we talk about anime that we've been watching, or video games we've been playing, or like just Japan-related media we've been consuming in some way.
Okay.
To get comfortable, we can take that time to just get in the groove. And then I edit that, stick that as like a new segment we can introduce at the end of each episode. And then we go into like recording the beginning of the episode so that listeners get to go straight to the topic. But then there's also this tasty little tidbit at the end if people want to, hear about kind of what we've been up to lately.
Yeah, sounds fine to me.
You like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then let's try it. Let's talk about some stuff. But then there's going to be a jarring cut right here for the listeners where we go straight from this into the topic.
Okay.
Okay. Paul, you look a little bit chilly. Here, take this blanket. You'll also notice I've set the lights at a level to make sure that you can see your nose, but it's not overly harsh, bright lights or anything. Here's your double whiskey sour, and I have a pitcher here for refills. And once we're done recording, Yi is going to be running a hot bath for you, so you have that to look forward to. Is there anything else I can get you at the moment?
Yeah, all of those things.
Well, you got to break the illusion, Paul. It's called improv. We've talked about this. Yes, and. Yes, and.
I do have a lovely beer here, thank you.
Well, today we're talking about Japan's service culture, which is why I was saying all that stuff. I was practicing Omotenashi. We'll get into that term shortly here. But first, I want to thank Pamela Arola for suggesting this topic, one of our Shogun-level patrons. And I also want to thank all of our other patrons who participated in the poll and voted for this topic, because I think this is a really fun topic.
I agree.
The research was... I wasn't sure what to expect. I thought it might be hard to find enough stuff, but there's plenty out there. Japan's service culture is something they are very well known for. If you visited the country, you may have noticed that service workers are generally very polite and helpful and kind, or at least pretending to be kind.
I think the service culture in Japan is one of the driving forces of making Japan an awesome place to visit. I think it's a big piece of the puzzle.
I agree. It's a very convenient place to visit, and the service culture makes it feel like a very welcoming society,
Yeah, the first time I went to Japan, I was blown away and inspired. As someone who was at the time working in customer service, I was like, wow, I can up my game.
As I was researching this, I was thinking like, oh man, I wonder if Paul's going to start implementing all this stuff, because the deeper I dug, the more I thought you can really focus in on every little tiny part of a customer's experience or a guest's experience, whatever that means.
Yeah.
And really perfect every perception that they could have of what's happening around them. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, certainly doing the research, I was reflecting a lot upon my work and how I do things and we do things. I think a lot of this stuff I probably do. And some of it I was thinking, well, it depends a little bit on who your clientele is too and what they're expecting.
Yeah, and we'll get into that too. If you're too rigid in your idea of service, you might be missing things, because every person wants or expects something a little bit different, right?
Yep.
So, Paul, do you want to start with the term Omotenashi? I already mentioned that, and I think that's really at the core of Japan's service culture.
Yeah. I saw people describe this with a lot of different words, but I think there are some core principles. I think one good way to say it is to wholeheartedly look after your guest, to look after your guest with no ulterior motive, to give service just because you want to give the best service that you can without expecting a tip or more business or anything on top of that. Just the sincerity of you trying to do your best to help somebody.
Totally. Yeah. If you wanted to just translate this term in a single word, the word I saw everywhere is hospitality. But it is a bit deeper than that. The selflessness, the wholeheartedness behind it is important. Like it's different than just the Western idea of just general hospitality.
I think another interesting fact is that it's not just responding to needs, it's a lot about anticipating the needs of the guest before they ever have to ask for anything in the first place.
Totally. Did you look into the etymology of the word, Paul?
Yes. Motenashi, I saw translated as hospitality or entertaining, and the O is the polite prefix.
The honorific.
Yes.
Right? Okay, I saw that too. The O and then motenashi comes from the verb motenasu, which is to entertain or take care of someone. I also saw something a little bit different. I saw the idea that motenashi could be an abbreviation of mono motenashi togeru, meaning something like receive and serve with utmost compassion for your guest or customer. But actually, I think the most common explanation I saw for this word is that you can split the word into omote and nashi. Did you see anything about that?
I did.
So in that case, omote would refer to your public face, which is contrasted with ura, your private face. So it's like you have the face that you wear at home and then the face that you wear out in public or to customers or whatever. But then the nashi part means something doesn't exist. So omotenashi means that your public face does not exist, implying that you're not hiding anything, you're not faking this hospitality. It's a very sincere, open-hearted, pure, and honest hospitality.
That definitely makes a lot of sense.
I also found an article from TokyoWeekender.com. I wonder if you read the same one. It said that the word omotenashi was being used as far back as the Heian period, around 1,000 years ago, and it listed 5 qualities that omotenashi is supposed to reflect. 5 things that you're supposed to work toward. One is to be intentional and careful. Like you're paying attention to every motion that you're making, I guess. Mm-hmm. You have the will to care for others. You give importance to caring for others. Our tools reflect our personalities, so be mindful of how you use and maintain them. I thought that was interesting. That really reminded me of the tea ceremony, which we'll get into. There's a connection between this idea and the tea ceremony. And also, keep in mind, our actions also reflect our personalities. So it's like you're paying attention to your own body and how you're making people feel with that. And then you're thinking about the surroundings and the tools that you're using. Like I said, just every little detail is considered, right?
Yeah. Part of why I found this one fascinating to research is that customer service is something that everybody's got their own little spin on and own ideas on. There is no like hard, fast truths of it. Mm-hmm. Some of the principles I saw people talking about a lot was selflessness, but also the mutual respect of like, you can't give great service. We'll talk about this more in the tea ceremony too, unless the person receiving it is also open to it and showing respect as well. So I thought that was kind of a cool idea. Is like you as the customer service provider are doing your best, but the receiver has to be open to it and respectful as well for it to really work.
Totally. You both have roles to play in a way.
Yeah.
And I think that relates to another concept behind this is the idea of harmony.
You gotta have wa.
Exactly. This is a very old and integral idea to Japanese culture. The pure-hearted pursuit of a perfect experience. And both parties need to be kind of on the same page to make things go smoothly and to maintain that harmony.
Yeah.
And like you said, anticipating people's needs is a big part of it too. People shouldn't have to ask for things. That's why I was already preparing a bath for Paul. I knew he was going to want that. I didn't need to ask. That's what you want, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great example. The difference between, oh, would you like a bath? And the bath is ready for you.
Like when I stayed at the ryokan on our last trip in Hakone, and as soon as I walked in, they're like, when would you like to schedule your private onsen?
You were like, all day, immediately.
As often as possible. I feel like I'm going to start repeating myself here. I'm looking in my notes, and it's like every article I read had a slightly different list of like core principles of Omotenashi, you know?
Yes.
I kept seeing
I know what
attention
you
to
mean.
detail, anticipating needs. Another one that I saw is exceeding expectations to create a memorable experience.
Yeah.
This isn't about just like, oh, this is just another day. We're just being polite to each other. You want to do what you can to make this person remember, oh man, I got such great service. What a great experience.
Right. Say you've traveled all over the world. They still want you to remember that one time you stayed at the Ryokan and how great they took care of you.
Totally.
You forget all the other hotels you've been to.
And if you wanted to contrast the idea of omotenashi with the American idea of service, Paul, you already mentioned how this is not transactional. In America, we got this big tipping culture for some crazy reason. And I think a lot of people think of customer service as a means to an end. Like you treat people well to try to get the most money out of them you can. Feels like there's a tip expected everywhere these days. It's insane. But I'm not going to go on a rant about it.
That's nice. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You're right though, but yeah, just the motivation behind it. I think there are a lot of people in America that give good customer service because it feels good to them, but I think if you talk about like the business motives behind it, no, we're like training people to give good customer service because we want that person to come back and we want to make more money. Otherwise, it'd be like no service for you.
Yeah.
And there are companies like that too, right? Like something goes wrong and you call and nobody can help you with anything.
And I mean, obviously in Japan, companies want to make money too. They want customers to come back. We're not saying that like nobody in Japan is thinking about this from a financial perspective.
Yes.
But
that's where it gets a little bit blurry, but it's just kind of generally the ideas.
yeah. Well, and we're talking about this core concept of omotenashi, right? Which is related to, but not exactly the same as customer service. Another thing I wanted to mention, I think this Japanese word is interesting. They have this word sabisu. Have you heard that?
No.
You might think that it comes, well, it actually does come from the English word service. Service, sabisu. But it doesn't quite have the same meaning. In Japan, sabisu is what they say when something is free. So it's almost like the very idea of service is connected to the idea of not requiring payment.
Okay.
You know? It's
Okay.
like, this is us giving you service and we don't expect anything from you. I actually remember when I first went to Japan, my first trip, I had this prepaid dinner at a pufferfish restaurant. And my Japanese still isn't very good, but especially back then, I didn't know how to ask questions well. And like, I wanted to order this sake with a pufferfish fin in there, a little toasted pufferfish fin. But I'm like, do I have to pay extra for this or is this included in the meal that I got? So I'm like asking like, okay, so I paid for this meal. Do I have to pay more for this? And she's like, sabisu, sabisu. And I didn't know what that meant. And I'm like, what do you mean service? What does that mean? But it means it's free.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. Thank you. I think another interesting contrast between Japanese service and American service is that with omotenashi, you get a little more emphasis on being like subtle, quiet actions, speaking louder than words, anticipating needs, where Western hospitality or American hospitality is more geared towards verbal. Hey, is there anything else I can get you? Do you have everything you need? You're just kind of like checking with that person rather than, no, everything already should be taken care of.
That's a good point. I don't really love that about American like restaurants where somebody's constantly coming by to be like, you have everything you need? Is everything tasting good? Like, I don't need that, you know?
I know it can be annoying when you don't need something, but when you do and no one's ever coming by, it is annoying though, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So
but
it's tough.
I prefer the Japanese system where if you need something, you make it known. You know?
Yeah.
You raise your hand and you say, sumimasen.
When I used to serve, I'd do like the slow walk by the table and kind of just look at them.
Got to make eye contact.
Yeah, and like no one's pulling their glass at me or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess they're good.
Oh man, it's the worst when you're sitting down and you do need something and they keep walking by, but they will never like just point their eyes in your direction so you can get their
it's
attention.
like they're avoiding you.
Yeah.
So one thing that I feel like I've noticed in Japan is that like they almost get sad if they haven't anticipated all your needs. I feel like they use signage a lot. like say you're checking into a hotel or something, there'll be like all these signs by the front, like, laundry on this floor, water cooler around the corner. But if you go up there and ask for water, they'll like be upset that their sign wasn't good enough and you had to ask. I almost like feel like I see them going back and looking at the sign and being like, is our sign not there? Is it not good enough anymore?
I think this kind of goes back to that idea of like both parties having a role to play in this situation. You know what I mean?
I failed my role. I wasn't paying attention.
Well, I feel like I've noticed, especially like on Japanese websites, if you're trying to reserve something, they'll have like this long list of stuff that you need to know.
Yeah.
Like I can't even give specific examples, but it's just a long list of things that you're expected to know as the customer. And if you know those things, everything goes super smoothly. You know what I mean? They'll tell you like the refund policy, how to get there, how to get to the door, all this stuff. And like things will go perfectly smoothly. You just have to take the time to actually read through this. And same, like you said, checking into a hotel, they'll give you like a sheet of paper that has all the details you could possibly want to know.
Yeah.
When the onsen is open and where the vending machines are and all
Sometimes
this stuff.
a whole folder of information.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's quite nice.
All right, Paul, let's talk about the history of Omotenashi,
Okay.
Japanese hospitality. You already mentioned that all of this kind of relates back to the idea of wa, of harmony, that's been a part of Japanese culture for thousands of years. Shinto, Confucianism, Buddhism all value peace and harmony. And as we mentioned in the rice episode 123, these ideals were reinforced by rice farming. Rice farming is labor intensive. It requires a lot of cooperation between a lot of different people. So there's, I think, a pretty strong theory that helps explain why Japan has a more communal society than a lot of other places in the world. So even to today, they focus more on the well-being of the community, which can be contrasted with the rugged individualism seen in America, for example, where we can't even give people decent health care. Right, Paul?
That's their problem, bro.
Why should I have to pay for anybody else to not die?
So you mentioned earlier, Jason, that the term goes back at least to the Heian period, which is quite a while ago, 8th to 12th century, I believe, for that. I also thought it was really interesting that it was mentioned in The Tale of Genji, the famous early 11th century novel from Japan. And I saw that some people even draw it back all the way to ideas of aristocrats of this time hosting guests in their homes and being expected to provide food and entertainment and a fun atmosphere for their guests. And then in the Kamakura period, where samurais kind of came to rise up, they placed a really strong value on treating visitors with respect as well. I'd hear that beyond just giving the food and a place to stay to people, they might even do a martial arts demonstration, do some horseback archery for them to entertain their guests. And that these ideas were some of the basis of what eventually became Omotenashi in Japan.
Nice. We also already mentioned the Japanese tea ceremony, which I think kind of further developed the idea of Omotenashi. The tea ceremony came to Japan from China in the 8th century and is very much based in Buddhist ideals, Zen Buddhism specifically. And over the centuries, as the Japanese version of the tea ceremony evolved, also known as chado, the way of tea, these elements of Omotenashi were developed. Specifically, I saw a lot of mentions of the 16th century tea master Sen no Rikyu, known as the father of the Japanese tea ceremony. He emphasized simplicity, shared humility, and a connection to nature. For example, the tea garden is an important part of the tea ceremony. Again, you're creating this beautiful space for your guests to enjoy. Also, natural tea tools. He was really into like the natural bamboo tools, beauty in simplicity, right?
Yeah, he's a guy that comes up a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he was a big deal. If you want to hear more about the tea ceremony, episode 99 was all about that.
He was also really into treating it as a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Like, this is between me and you right now. This is the moment we're living that will never be repeated again.
Totally. That's
Like-
known as ichigo ichie. And yeah, I mean, if you approach any situation as if it's never going to happen again, it's like this is your one chance to really get it right, make it perfect.
Yeah, it sounds like mindfulness or living in the moment. Like that's still a thing that people talk about all the time, that we need to get better at this.
Totally.
He also talked a lot about sincerity, which is another core principle, right? I think one interesting example I saw is that near the beginning of the tea ceremony, one of the things they do is they clean the cup you're going to use in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like nothing's hidden. Everything's out front. You know you're getting a clean cup and that I'm doing my diligence.
I actually have a quote from Sennorikyu himself.
Oh?
He said, "Because life is full of uncertainty, one must engrave in his heart the events of the day as if there is no tomorrow. Today's tea ceremony is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and one, along with his guests, must wholeheartedly approach the meeting with sincerity."
Lovely.
Sincerity, like you said.
Here's a quote for you. This podcast between me and you is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
There's too much pressure, Paul. I can't take it.
Along with our listeners. Paul, 2025.
You're stressing me out now. I don't know. Honestly, part of this, like, just all the emphasis placed on every moment and every detail, it feels like you could really, like a person with OCD, for example, this could be really damaging to their psyche, I feel like.
Don't miss a single detail.
Oh no, this is my one chance in my entire life to get this right.
Yeah, there's times to live in the moment and times not to. I was in the most boring meeting of my life the other day, and my mind was just drifting away. I couldn't imagine trying to live in that moment. I wanted to live anywhere but in that moment.
Yeah, some moments are better than others. What can I say?
But when we go to Japan very shortly here, I will try to live in those moments.
I'm going to savor every single moment. Every sub-moment. Every subdivision of a moment.
Every millimoment.
One more thing about the tea ceremony. I read that preparation for a single tea ceremony can take up to a year.
I saw that too.
Again, you got to consider every detail. What flowers are you going to display? What scroll is going to go up in the tokonoma? What tea set and tea tools will you use? Each of those things is going to communicate something to your guest. What kind of wagashi are you going to serve?
That's some insane level of planning. I love it.
But man, I feel like it'd be such an honor to be on the receiving end of that kind of experience, you know?
Yeah. During the Edo period, there was a boom in tea houses and ryokan and restaurants across the country that came along with the economic boom and the peace of the era. And this really kind of helped spread the concepts and the norm of omotenashi throughout general society, whereas it kind of started with that aristocratic idea of hosting. Not to say that there wasn't hospitality of the everyday Japanese person before that, but kind of straight down from the tea ceremony to what it is today. I feel like that was the connection that got it out into everyday culture.
Last thing I have for the history section is much more recent. In 2013, when Tokyo made its bid to host the 2020 Olympics, the idea of omotenashi was one of their main arguments for why they should host.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they really stressed that. And supposedly, that's
You just brought
why
back
they got it.
bad memory, podcast memory for me there, Jason.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Me confidently declaring in our Olympic episode, there's no way they shut down or delay the Olympics. And then a week or two after it's published, Olympics delayed.
Yeah, there are a few episodes in our catalog that I just never want to go back and look at again. And that's one of them, frankly.
You know what? Yeah, when we've been doing it this long, all the talk about the train passes and stuff, that's totally moot now.
All that too.
Nothing we can do about that.
Sometimes I think about going back through all the episodes and just editing them better. I know I could do better, but
I don't always like to compare myself to other people, but sometimes it makes me feel better. And, I see all these political or social commentators, so, this, that, all up on their high horse. And then you'll see a video of them from 2 years ago saying exactly the opposite. And I'm like, okay, I'm not nearly as dumb or as bad as a lot of these people out there. I got one or two to my name, but It's not that bad. But you've never said anything wrong on the podcast, Jason.
Thank you for acknowledging that.
Yeah, it's true.
Paul, you ready to talk about Keigo?
Yeah.
I think this is a very important element of Japan's service culture. Keigo is respectful or honorific language. And it doesn't only happen in customer service, but it is kind of essential to customer service and business dealings of all kinds.
Yes.
And it gets very complicated.
Yeah, I was looking into it, and they're breaking down all these syntax and kind of how you change it. I was like overwhelming my brain, but I did walk away with a few things.
Me too. First, I want to point out that hierarchy. The Japanese language is kind of built around this hierarchy, and in different contexts, that can mean different things. Like if you're working at a company, the people that are more senior to you in the company are kind of above you in the hierarchy, regardless of whether they're older than you or not. But in things like school, the person that's one grade above you is always going to be above you in the hierarchy, no matter, if you're better than them at things or getting better grades or whatever. So it's like there's kind of a constant awareness of where you stand in relation to the people around you, and that affects what type of language you will use with them. But in the context of customer service, of course, customers are treated with great respect, so they get a certain very respectful form of Keigo.
Yeah, and Keigo can be very complicated. It seems to be almost a badge of honor if you can master it and speak really well in Keigo. Just to give one really easy example, I think everyone would understand, it's kind of the difference between just saying arigato versus arigatou gozaimasu, the full long version of thank you.
Yeah, in general, the more respectful the language, the longer words get. Or sometimes the words are just replaced with other words for the same thing. Especially like if you're learning Japanese, it starts to just sound like a completely different language. I don't even know how people keep track of all this stuff. And there are even different categories of Keigo, different categories of polite speech that make it even more complicated. Like, Paul, did you hear about teinego?
No.
So teinego is polite language, son keigo is respectful language, and kenjogo is humble language.
Oh, man.
And those all dictate what words are substituted for other words when you're dealing with different people in different situations. I can give you a few more examples of just how things can change. So if you're asking somebody to sit down, kind of the casual way of saying that is suwatte kudasai. But if you're being polite, you say okake ni natte kudasai. Like they don't even sound similar,
No, it sounds like saying different things.
Or instead of chotto matte kudasai, please wait a moment, you'd say shoushou machi kudasai. Or instead of sumimasen, very casual, sumimasen, excuse me, or I'm sorry, the polite form of that is moshiwake arimasen. It's a profuse apology.
I feel bad for everyone studying Japanese now and like going over to Japan. Like, I'm ready to use it. And like the service industry people are just using a different language.
Dude, there's this great Instagram account I've been seeing pop up lately where this guy, he's in Japan and it's all about like, oh man, I'm getting so good at Japanese. I'm totally prepared for this situation. And then he goes up to the counter or wherever and it's like, okay, I responded to the first thing, but then he gets like 5 more questions and it's like, I'm totally lost. And then he just like walks away hanging his head in shame.
You just, hi.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's the response to everything.
Just hope you get what you want.
Yeah, or if they're like asking, how would you like to pay? And it's like, daijoubu, I'm okay. Like, oh crap, this is embarrassing. I just found it very relatable. I've been in that situation where it's like,
yeah.
I was so close to making it sound like I knew what I was talking about.
He asked if I want a bag, and I'm like, hi. And then he asked 3 more questions, and I'm like, I wasn't prepared for any of these.
Yeah. Do you know the one about, do you want your food heated up?
I know you get asked that sometimes, but
I think sometimes when they see that you're a foreigner, they like point at the microwave while they're saying it. That helps a little bit.
Yeah.
So these days, Omotenashi manifests in a lot of different ways. When you're visiting Japan, I say if you want to experience the ultimate expression of Omotenashi, you could still seek out a traditional tea ceremony.
Yes.
There are places you could participate in that, and I think that would be really cool. Another place that's also very traditional, where you could experience Omotenashi, one of my favorite places to experience it, are ryokan, traditional Japanese inns. The Omotenashi here is extreme.
Yeah,
Well,
could you kind of walk through like what your experience is like going to ryokan?
Absolutely. You've never stayed at one, right?
No, I haven't.
It's a shame. You should really hunt one down that has a vegan option. I'm sure they're out there.
I know.
It's just such a great experience.
Someday I will.
So these traditional inns, originally these were places where travelers would stop when they were traveling long distances, often by foot. So originally, the very first thing they would do when you stopped there is they would wash your feet by hand. Like the owner of the place, the person running it would like get down on their hands and knees and wash your feet while you
Now
sat
that's
there.
service.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore. But here's what I've experienced at every ryokan I have stayed at. So first, before you even get to the door, there might be somebody running out to greet you and to take your bags, and they bring them straight to your room. Like once you hand over your bags, you don't need to worry about it. They're taking care of everything from that point. Once they get you in the door, you take off your shoes, they serve you tea, and then they're going to go over the details of your visit, like what you want to eat, when you want to eat, when do you want to go to the private onsen. They're going to take care of everything and have like your whole experience planned out. Then they're going to give you everything you need to know. Like I said, they're going to have some information about like where the bar is, where the massage chairs are, maybe that's not uncommon, where you can get whatever you might need. The last one I stayed at, they had a little room of DVDs, and you could just walk over there and pick out anything you might want to watch. Also, this place that I stayed at last time, this was in Hakone, by the way, I actually had a personal attendant who was available at any time for anything I needed. Like a lot of the time, they were just standing right outside my door, or if they weren't there, there was a number I could call or something. And she had like a little earpiece and stuff.
Oh, wow.
And I'm staying at another ryokan in Hakone, not the same one, but it's right nearby, and I'm so excited for that. That's always like one of my top experiences of a trip, is staying at these traditional inns.
Just curious, is there any reason not the same one? Is this one like a better view of Fuji?
I'm trying to remember why
the other one was booked up or something.
I did go somewhere else. I mean, part of it was I just wanted to have a different experience.
Sure.
And I think maybe the price had increased or something since the last time. I don't know. There are tons and tons of ryokan in Hakone, and I feel like I want to avoid just having the same experience over and over, you know? I just want to try something new.
I get what you're saying, but I'm kind of along the lines of once I find something I like, I'm very comfortable going back again and again and again.
Well, that's why I go back to Japan again and again
True.
and again. But I want to make a little tweaks each time.
It'd be a similar experience.
Yeah. Another part of the ryokan experience is the kaiseki meal. And this is all about omotenashi. I mean, the idea of kaiseki goes back to the Japanese tea ceremony anyway. So the kaiseki meal, you have all these different courses, each with various dishes prepared and organized perfectly. Like it's just a beautiful meal. Everything's made with fresh local ingredients and stuff. The person serving you often will explain each dish, tell you exactly what it is and how to eat it. Like I said, the whole idea of omotenashi, they've thought of everything. Honestly, at these types of places, it feels so luxurious that it almost feels like too much. Like I start to feel like I don't deserve this, or this is so overwhelmingly perfect that I can't even appreciate it as much as I feel like I should. You know what I mean? Like I should be feeling this overwhelming appreciation for every moment.
Yeah.
Because it's just so good. Is that over the top?
No, I think I get what you're saying.
So yeah, I highly recommend a ryokan. If it's in your budget, you know, they can be expensive, but it's worth it. And, you know, you don't need to stay more than a night, really.
Yeah, you can kind of get that full experience in the one night.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about other hotels, more modern hotels.
Yeah, which we've stayed at a bunch, and I found the service to be very nice. They're always willing. I guess I can't speak for every single hotel, but they always seem to be willing to hold your luggage for you. We mentioned earlier you might get a paper or a folder just describing when's the bath open? Where are the vending machines? And just kind of like everything you need to know. They might even tell you where the nearest convenience store is located.
Yeah, I mean, they might be willing to help you make reservations at a restaurant or something. They might receive mail for you. I've had like sumo tickets or a Wi-Fi device or something mailed to my hotel, and as long as you let them know, to expect it, they're happy to do that. They'll just give you recommendations and stuff, even at business hotels, which is kind of like one of the most basic places you could stay at.
Yeah.
Like, it's still just good customer service.
It's raining out. They can call a taxi for you.
Mm-hmm.
They're just very willing to help with any request.
I really appreciate an easy check-in process.
Yeah.
And things always seem to go pretty smoothly in
Yep.
Japan. Checkout, too, might be as simple as just sticking your room card in a machine as you walk out the door. I've even gotten origami on my pillow at hotels. Just
Wow.
inexpensive hotels. I think it was actually specifically in Hiroshima. I had a paper crane waiting on my pillow, and that kind of ties into the Peace Memorial.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a
Park.
nice touch.
Yeah.
It's very cleanly, too. Your room's going to be pretty nice and clean.
Cleanly? I don't think I've ever heard that without the ness at the end. Cleanly?
Clean.
To do something cleanly, that's an adverb.
Cleanly. Do something cleanly.
What about retail? It's another place you'll see customer service, of course.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that you'll notice right away, right, as soon as you walk in the door, you're very likely to get the loud...
Irashaimase!
Exactly. All like every worker will yell that out every time anybody walks in the door.
If you don't know any Japanese at all and you go to Japan, that's one word you'll learn by the time you leave. And you should know that you're not expected to respond. You don't need to do anything when they say that. I'm sure they say it often enough, it's just automatic and it's just like a reflex.
Yeah.
Another thing that I think you might notice, one of the first things you might notice about retail in Japan is it generally feels very classy. Like, I just feel like stores are laid out in an attractive way. They're clean. Paul, have you ever been to a store in America where it's like you walk down this aisle and there's just all this stuff that's falling off the shelves and it's on the floor and it's just a mess?
Yeah, dude, I used to work at Sears.
Oh, yeah.
That store
We
was
both did.
always a mess.
Totally. You don't see that in Japan. Yeah, it just generally feels like a more premium experience, I think, whether that's at, a convenience store all the way up to like a shopping mall or a department store.
Yeah. Usually easier to find a staff member than it might be at a lot of stores here.
I said before that I don't need a ton of attention from people like my servers at restaurants. I do kind of feel like in Japanese stores, they can be a little overbearing sometimes, especially clothing stores.
Yeah.
You walk in and you're looking at something and they immediately walk over and it's like, oh yeah, look at this. You would look great in this. It's like, okay, I'll think about it.
Right. We're going to go into like 10 stores and I'm maybe going to buy one thing. Like, I don't want all that attention.
Yeah.
One thing I found very interesting is that the level of politeness is so high that even when staff are talking on the phone to a customer, they'll bow, even though there's no way the person on the other end could tell.
I mean, I can understand that. I feel like when I'm on the phone, I'll make hand gestures and stuff just
Yeah,
automatically,
Absolutely. But I can just imagine like talking to us. You don't sound like you're bowing. Be more respectful to
right.
me.
Oh, I just realized that irashaimase. Did we say what that actually means? It just means welcome. They're welcoming you in.
Yeah.
Another thing, bathrooms are always very clean,
Yeah.
I find.
Yeah. When you get to the cash register, they'll have a little tray that you can put your cash and change in so that you don't have to touch each other. I don't know if I've ever been to a store in Japan where they just like took the money out of my hand.
I've been to rare places where they don't have a tray. I remember like at a temple, like, you know how you walk up and they got all the little omamori things that they're selling?
Yeah.
And it's like somebody just standing behind it and there is nowhere to put your money. You just have to hand it to them.
Okay.
I don't know. That's just something that comes to mind at a place where I handed over money. But let me talk about clothing stores a little bit because I've bought some clothes in Japan and it was great. I said that the staff can be overbearing, but on the other side of that, they will like spend as much time as necessary helping you try on different items, different sizes. You don't just walk up with like a piece of clothing and be like, "Can I try this on?" And they're just like, "Yeah, the room is right there." Like they'll stand there and be like, "Do you need a different size?" And they'll run out and get it for you if necessary, things like that. And once you do decide to buy something, the experience doesn't end there. They might ask you if you want gift wrapping. That can be incredibly elaborate. If you've never seen that kind of thing, you should just go on YouTube and look up Japanese gift wrapping.
They're so dedicated to giving a good service that they don't even want just you to have a good service. They want whoever opens that package, wherever, whenever, to also have a great experience.
Totally. I bought a gift for my wife on our last trip, and they took amazing care in packing it up in a very pretty and secure way. Some of the best experiences I've had in retail in Japan is when I bought my expensive, fancy Japanese jeans.
Ah, yeah.
So I went to the Momotaro store in Tokyo, and like I said, they helped me pick out my size. They even bagged them up in this nice fabric tote bag. It was basically like a free gift that came with the jeans. And then I feel kind of bad about this. The guy like handed me the bag with both hands, and I just like took it and kind of started walking away. And then I look over my shoulder, and he's like bowing continuously as I walk out the door. And it's like, I just felt like I should have respected that moment a little bit more. I'm just like, "Oh, thanks," and walk away. And he's just like bowing and bowing.
I know what you're saying, but I'm like, in this case, the American part of me is being like, you just spent enough money on those jeans that he should be bowing to you.
That's fair. But was it just the last trip? No, it was the trip before the last, I think, when I went to Ironheart, another very fancy jeans shop. And the service there was incredible. This guy like personally walked me around the store and showed me everything and like answered my questions about different styles of jeans. He made sure to tell me about their rewards app so I could get points. They offered free hemming there. I think he even offered me a coffee when I came inside.
Nice.
Once I bought the jeans, he gave me directions to the bus stop and like walked me out the door and everything. And that time I made sure to thank him profusely and
bow back.
Yeah.
Nice.
Amazing experience,
I try to be really polite in Japan, but I'm still kind of awkward with it sometimes. Like I always don't know, like, oh, I'll bow back, and then they bow like even deeper, and I'm like, oh, did I just make them do that, or should I have done that?
Like I've seen that joke where it's like each person just keeps bowing and they go deeper and deeper until they smash their heads together.
Yeah. But I think it's the sincerity that counts, and I was sincerely grateful for their service, so I think it was all good.
Nice. Paul, another video I've seen on Instagram is so like if there are lines forming at the checkout, you might see employees rushing to open a new register.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're like running. I've seen one video of this guy that actually like vaults over the counter to get behind the register.
I haven't quite pulled that one yet.
You should. I bet you get some smiles from the people.
I've done the half jog before.
Half jog.
You can't.
That's not a Omotenashi,
You
Paul.
can't go too fast because there's the little old lady coming around the corner in her cart that you can't see. Yeah, you got to be a little careful.
That's fair. All right, should we move on to restaurants?
Yeah.
You're going to hear "irashaimase" at the restaurant too.
Yes.
And it's also very common when you sit down to receive an oshibori, which is a warm hand towel to freshen your hands.
Yep. They'll often bring you water right away if there's not already water on the table.
Or tea. Sometimes they offer tea at the beginning of the meal. If it's a really nice restaurant where maybe you're sitting right in front of the chef might introduce themselves. They might ask about your personal preferences. They'll give you additional info about what they're serving.
That's nice. I think a lot of it, again, is really subtle in the restaurant. Even just how the seating is arranged. Everything is within easy reach of you. You have everything you need. When the food comes out, it's plated really nicely. It looks really good. Just all the little details to give you that better than expected service.
You know what I think is a great example, or has a lot of great examples of Omotenashi, is that documentary Jiro Dreams of Sushi.
Sure.
Like I think one of the big things that people were so impressed by with Jiro is like he talks about all these things that he's considered. I remember him saying like he'll take the person's size into account. Like some giant dude, he's going to give a slightly bigger piece of sushi to than like a tiny woman. And I kind of feel like if they're paying the same amount, they should get the same amount of food. But it's still just like a level of attention to detail that is kind of extreme.
I could see Jiro arguing, I'm giving them the same level of service.
Yeah. Or like, he goes to the fish market every day and he picks out the perfect fish. And if he's looking for a certain type of fish and they don't have the perfect one, he's not going to serve it that day. It's got to be perfect. You know? Japan is very famous for the presentation of its dishes. Chefs are going to think about how this dish will excite all the senses. It needs to look good and smell good and feel good when you rub it on your body.
What?
I mean, when you put it in your mouth and rub it all over your tongue in a very sensual fashion. I remember a fancy sushi place I went to in Tokyo, which is no longer there, sadly. But I got to tell the chef about my favorite types of fish, and then he would include more of that in the meal, and he would tell me like how they were different. Like, oh, this one is from this country, and this is, or I think they were all from around Japan, but it's like, oh, this one's from Hokkaido, and this one's from further south, and this is why they're different, and things like that.
That's cool. Learning where your food comes from is really nice.
Yeah. Similarly, I went to a tempura place in Hiroshima called Tempura Tenko, where I was sitting in front of the chef and they had all these different seasonings in front of me. And each piece that they sat down in front of me, they would tell me, like, I recommend you try this one with this type of seasoning. Or they might give you multiples and be like, try the first one with this and then the next one with this. It's just clear that they want you to have the best possible experience.
Yeah, that's great. Another place in Japan you're likely to find omotenashi is taking a train. Everyone, I think, knows that Japan's known for having remarkably punctual trains. They work very hard to make sure that happens.
Especially the bullet trains, which you can hear all about in episode 85 if you would like to. They're also extremely fast, those ones. Not quite as fast as a bullet, but you get it.
Often multilingual signage on a lot of the main lines, especially in the bigger cities. The platforms in the train cars are remarkably clean.
I saw a lot of mentions of the people that clean the trains and the way that they practice omotenashi. They have these snazzy uniforms. They clean the trains extremely quickly when they stop. I mean, these trains aren't stopping for very long, and the cleaners need to get in there and get out so that people can get on before it takes off. And as the train is arriving, the cleaners will even stand on the platform and bow to the train to greet it to the platform.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I remember watching a video about the cleaners of the bullet trains, and I was just watching the last F1 race of the season, and it's kind of like they're like a pit crew almost. They've got like 5 minutes to get in there and clean the entire train.
Yeah, every seat.
And they just have it down to a science. Like everybody knows exactly what they're doing and just boom, 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 done.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Also, something that you'll notice, especially on the bullet train most likely, is that whenever a staff member enters or leaves the cabin that you're in, they will bow at the door. It's a sign of respect for all the passengers.
I've noticed that, yeah, for sure. Taxi cabs are another form of transportation where you're going to feel like it's a premium experience. For one thing, taxis in Japan open their doors for you. Like, it's not even the driver getting out and opening the door to let you in. The car itself is like, irashaimase, let me open my door for you.
Yeah, the drivers are very quick to come out if you have any luggage and load it into the trunk for you.
The drivers also wear white gloves,
I know,
I think
it's
is a really nice
fancy
touch. Yeah.
You mentioned uniforms in the train one too, and we haven't really talked about it, but all of these places, the uniform is really important too. Everyone will be wearing a snazzy, good-looking uniform. It'll be crisp, iron cleaned. They all look great.
We could probably do a whole episode about uniforms too, because I feel like that really ties into that communal aspect of Japanese culture. It lets you feel like you are a part of a bigger thing with your coworkers or your classmates or whatever. It just really inspires that sense of, I'm not an individual, I'm like part of this.
Add it to the list.
There's lace on the seats in taxis, which is nice. It makes it feel a little grandma-ish, maybe. You might get that sense. You think, Paul?
It definitely feels like an older mode of transportation, for
Yeah.
sure. But nice. Old but nice.
Yeah.
Reminds me of like my grandparents' Oldsmobile they had in the 80s.
I was thinking the same thing.
With that massive back seat that I used to get to lounge on.
Dude, my grandparents' Oldsmobile, they had a fold-down seat in between the front two seats.
Yes.
And that was like,
Yeah.
you feel like a king sitting up there.
Yeah.
I wish they would do that in taxi cabs in Japan. You're just
Right.
snuggling up right next to the driver. You got the whole windshield looking out at the world.
I might be good on that one.
I'd put my arm around him, reach in his pocket for a Werther's original. That's my OG, son. But I've had nothing but good experiences taking taxis in Japan. And a lot of times the drivers are just super friendly and talkative. Like, I remember them like asking me where I'm from and, what are you doing in Japan? What cities are you going to visit? And things like that.
And despite being so classy, they're pretty affordable.
Especially if you share them.
Yes.
I read that these days there's a taxi company in Osaka that's actually testing out automatic in-taxi interpreters
Okay.
called Sakura Taxi Group.
Well, we know they have stuff like that at the hospitals.
Yes. And I remember reading that there was a maid cafe chain where they were starting to do these little auto interpreter things.
Which one? Where?
I'll have to look back at my notes.
Please.
But I feel like you see that more and more often these days. Language support stuff for visitors.
That's
kinda
nice.
Cool. Yeah. Supposedly, I haven't tested it out, but the new AirPods software is supposed to automatically translate like 100 different languages
Okay.
for you.
Okay.
I'm really skeptical. I feel like we're a long ways away from making that a seamless thing.
Yeah, I don't know if we're there yet.
Yeah. Paul, I got one more place I wanted to mention here. If you are interested in practicing omotenashi on the giving end rather than the receiving end, you could bring these principles to your home.
Yeah, absolutely.
People might offer slippers to their guests. Have I offered you slippers, Paul?
I think you offered me Crocs once, and I turned you down.
We have some slippers for guests upstairs, but you got those weird giant feet, so I'll need to invest in some nice ones. Maybe you can be involved in picking them out or something.
Okay.
Another way to practice omotenashi is keep the place clean and inviting. Or if you don't keep it clean, you can just frantically run around 10 minutes before your guest shows up and vacuum and just throw all the ugly stuff into a closet or something. Right, Paul?
Yeah. I was just at home the other day and I was looking around and I was like, yeah, my kitchen's a little dirty, but the kitchen table's mostly clean. The couch is clean. I'm not doing too bad. If someone was coming over, I could get this looking pretty good in about 15 minutes.
Right, to be clear, I wasn't trying to take a jab at you or anything, Paul.
No, it was just my self-reflection.
I don't even know what your place looks like. Can you guys believe it? Paul moved into this new place how long ago, and he hasn't even invited me over. That's kind of the first step of practicing omotenashi, right? You can't really even begin without that part of it.
I did once.
In response to me inviting you over to my place, and you're like, no, I don't want to leave. How about you come over to my place?
No, that's not what happened.
I think that's pretty much how it went.
You were like, why would I want to come over to your place? All my stuff is better.
I don't think I said it in those words exactly.
That was the spirit of what you said, though.
Well, I was just saying I can provide better omotenashi, so if you want the ultimate perfect experience, there's only one place to do that, and that's at my place.
Okay.
Anyway, another thing you could do, serve guests first at meals. That's kind of a basic one. I feel like my parents really ingrained that in me as a kid.
Yeah, definitely.
You can also practice omotenashi in your personal life, even outside the home, by checking in on friends.
I'm the worst at that.
It's hard to do.
Actually, I'm not the worst at that. I have some friends that are even worse than me.
I know.
I got a few friends that I talk to like once every few years, maybe.
Yeah. Some people like getting handwritten letters. I feel like that's a real nice personal thing you could do. Show somebody that you're thinking of them.
I'd enjoy getting one. I would never send one, but I'd enjoy getting one.
Okay, well, if you give me your address at some point, then I'll send you one because Paul's just a total mystery to me once he walks out the door. I don't even know who this is sitting here in front of me.
Well, if you ever would have asked for my address.
How long ago did you move in? It's rude to ask for somebody's address. I'm not going to invite myself over.
It's been 6 months.
6 months, you guys.
Yeah.
After all these episodes, you thought that we were just like really close friends. I haven't even seen his room.
It's true. You've seen like my last 8 rooms, but not this one. I have an office now that I keep talking about that you haven't seen.
I'm hurt. This is me telling you, Paul. The reason I'm going on and on about it, it hurts, man.
I respect that you're hurt, but I don't feel bad at all.
That's Paul, everybody. That's Paul being sincere.
Well, isn't that the core of Omotenashi? Okay, where are we at here? Well, we've been talking up all this great stuff about Japanese customer service and Omotenashi, but just to be fair, let's briefly talk a little bit about maybe the dark side of customer service.
I kind of think I just got a pretty bitter taste of the dark side of Omotenashi, Paul. You were just way too sincere right there. But really, you could say that Omotenashi becomes less genuine the more corporate it becomes. I think that's one of the big criticisms of Omotenashi customer service in its modern form. Some people might say that capitalism has distorted and bastardized Omotenashi like it does with everything else good in the world, right, Paul?
Yep.
I'm not saying that, but somebody could.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like you get into the business world and you might treat people with respect and be very nice, but there's maybe more of an expectation of favors in the future or continued business relationships. The money starts getting involved. Where's the sincerity end and the trying to make more money start?
Even in just doing the research for this episode, I was surprised at how many extremely corporate takes I found on the idea of Omotenashi. You know what I mean, Paul? Like I found all these articles about Omotenashi that were on corporate websites about like, how are we going to make more money? Let's exploit Omotenashi.
Oh yeah, I did, but I just immediately, once I realized that's where it was, I closed all that stuff and stopped reading.
Let me just give an example. There was this one article I found called Omotenashi for the Modern Age, elevating service in Japan and taking the concept global. And then there was a quote in there, in 2023, Japan proved itself a robust regional growth driver for most prominent luxury brands, consistently posting high double-digit growth throughout the year. This trend has continued into Q1 of 2024.
Oh, stop! Just
That's
stop,
disgusting,
dude.
isn't
Like
it?
that paragraph makes me want to throw up. Dude.
I know.
I feel like I did think about like taking it internationally, but I don't think you could really have this without Japanese workers. Like it comes from the culture. Like there's the cultural expectation of this is what service is. And if you didn't grow up with that, it's going to be really hard to just hire a bunch of people from America or whatever and get them to like actually act that way.
Yeah, that's fair. And it really goes against what we were saying about how Omotenashi is not about expecting compensation, you know?
Yeah.
But on the other side of it, you could argue, well, it's better than getting bad service, you know, as long as it's creating a better experience for customers. What are we complaining about? Yeah.
Well, what about the workers, Jason?
What about the workers?
I mean, I feel like we both know from experience that there can be an emotional burden or burnout coming from constantly trying to take care of everybody else in a fast-paced environment where the business is just churning every day.
And when you see like 1,000 customers in a day, is there really room for making every experience sincere and open-hearted and whatever? Who has that in them?
I'd say I can do it about 99% of the time.
Well, you're not the average person, Paul. You're cut above the rest, my friend.
In that regard only. Most people just really aren't cut out for a life in customer service. It's tough. You got to have a certain like personality or attitude or something that some people just don't have, and that's fine.
Yeah. And like I said, the emotional burden, like the pressures of providing Omotenashi can create a less than relaxed experience for the workers. It can be stressful. Like if you're expected to anticipate the guest's needs, that's stressful. Like you're just always on alert.
Yeah.
Kind of watching everything, trying to anticipate. So some say that striving for perfect hospitality can put an undue burden on workers.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. When the expectation is perfection, if it gets really busy, it just becomes impossible to give perfection to that many people at once. And then you're not, even though you're trying your best, you're not meeting your goal, and that can be difficult.
And I think you could tie this back to the idea of Japan having a more community-based society. There are pros and cons to that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
To have a harmonious society like that, individuals do need to make sacrifices that you wouldn't need to make in a more individualistic society.
Yes. I've been raised, Jason, to make no sacrifices unless it personally benefits me.
That's the American way. Another thing I read is that there's been a rise recently in what they call kaskara. Kaskara is short for customer harassment.
Ah, sure.
Customer harassment.
Yeah.
So customers treating staff poorly, using abusive language, making unreasonable demands, maybe even physically intimidating them. Cyberbullying.
Yeah.
Have you seen like reviews online where people are naming a specific person that works somewhere and being like, I hate this person. They gave me the worst service and they should be fired.
Yes.
Who does that?
We've gotten those every once in a while at work, and we delete them.
Good.
Like, that's not fair. That's not right.
You don't call somebody out like that.
Yeah.
Not by name.
So one place where, in my opinion, that I think Japan could work on its service is the bureaucracy and the paperwork, the inflexibility to go around a rule when everybody knows that like this is in the spirit of the rule, but it's not meeting the rule. I've just seen a lot of complaints, especially from like foreigners living in Japan, about trying to do anything at the bank and you're going to be there for 8 hours and they're not anticipating your needs. They're not making it easy. Like, oh, I have a middle name and your form doesn't have a place for a middle name on it. And there's just like no way around it because that's the form and the form has to be filled out. But then your full name's not on the form. Therefore, it doesn't work. And you can get lost in the bureaucracy sometimes.
The more corporate it gets, the bigger companies you're dealing with, the more structured things are going to be, and the less flexibility there is to adapt to specific customers' needs. Everybody just gets the same treatment.
Yeah, like I feel like sometimes at work we might get an instance where we don't take checks without an ID. But a customer will come in that I've seen 100 times. That's one of our great customers. And I'll be like, yeah, whatever, just take the check. You might not be able to do that in Japan just because like that's the rule and we cannot break the rule.
And again, there are two sides to all of these issues, right? I remember this guy coming in and trying to cash a check that clearly had been torn into 20 pieces and he had taped it back together and he didn't have any proof that he was the person whose name was on the check.
Yeah.
So last thing I just thought this was a little interesting piece kind of about the future of Omotenashi. As everything gets more corporate and these giant companies swallow up the world, you could say that as society evolves, so must our ideas of hospitality and service. So if you Google Japan service culture, did you do that, Paul? Did you just type into Google Japan service culture?
That was definitely one of the searches I ran.
Did you notice the top result is an article from the Yale School of Management?
I'm sure I did.
It was the very top result. And it talks about this Global Network Week. There was an event at a Japanese business school, and they talked about what they called Omotenashi 3.0.
And what would that be?
Well, in this framework, 1.0 would be the original Omotenashi, the Japanese tea ceremony version of Omotenashi. 2.0 is Omotenashi in modern society right now, and then Omotenashi 3.0 is service provided by robots.
Okay.
And there are places in Japan where you can experience this right now. We've talked on the podcast about some of them. Hena Hotel is a hotel where the staff is all robots. There's a place called Dawn Avatar Robot Cafe where the robots are actually remote controlled by people with disabilities. I think that's a super cool idea.
I have seen that, yeah.
There's another cafe that I had wanted to go to in Tokyo. I think it shut down, but the idea was you could order your drink on a little screen and then there was just a robot sitting in there that would make it for you.
Nice.
Yeah. And, we did a whole episode about robots. I don't have the number written down here, but they're trying really hard to integrate robots as much as they can in customer service because of the aging population and shrinking birth rate.
But don't worry, they've programmed the robots to bow and speak politely.
Yeah. And they're definitely not going to go rogue and throw a hot coffee in your face and, say about...
definitely, probably not.
Yeah, definitely, probably not. Is that it, Paul?
I think that's everything you need to know about Japanese customer service.
I think so. I hope you learned something new. Maybe you've been inspired to use these ideas in your own life. I try to practice this in home bartending, Paul. You know this.
Yeah,
really try to perfect every drink.
You do remind me of those videos of like the high-class Japanese bartenders on Instagram.
Oh, no. I got like decades of practice before I get to that level. Those guys are extreme. Yeah, go on YouTube and search for like fancy Japan bartending or something. There's some pretty crazy stuff.
I wonder how many people go to Japan for the first time in their life and then they come back home and they like walk into a store and they're like, what is this trash service I'm getting here? The bar has been raised.
Yeah.
Did you literally put all your random stuff to talk about notes at the end of your notes here?
I wasn't sure. I had to check if I had something or not. I might have put something in the next episode that we're doing or something.
Yeah, okay.
But I do have something in mind
for
you. I want to give you a choose your own adventure style thing. Would you like to hear a video game review or an anime review or a book review?
Anime.
Okay. I mentioned recently that I had been watching an anime movie called Suzume.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that one?
I know of it. I haven't seen it.
Suzume is the third movie in a disaster trilogy, they call it, written and directed by Makoto Shinkai. He also did Your Name and Weathering with You. Those were the first two. And in this one, it's got the same style, the beautiful style of animation, just really great art. The music is good. The voice acting is good. The story is good. It's a disaster movie, like I said. So, the plot basically revolves around a couple people going around trying to stop these disasters from happening. And there's kind of a supernatural element to it. What I was not expecting, and maybe I should have been expecting this based on the other two, I'm not even sure if I saw Weathering with You, but I saw Your Name. And it was like a very emotionally charged movie, right? This one, Suzume, extremely emotional, and it ties to a real-life tragedy. Trying to avoid spoilers here, but it connects to real life in a way that I think makes it especially poignant. And there's just a scene, multiple scenes that are real tearjerkers, I think. I don't know if you would cry, Paul. I know you're a very stoic, heartless kind of guy, but...
Stoic and heartless don't necessarily need to go hand in hand.
I was trying to be generous at first, but then I just thought I'd just jab at you like that. But no, it's a good movie. It's really worth watching, I think. And, if you're used to watching TV-type anime, a lot of these anime movies feel like the production value is a bit higher. It's just kind of a step up. There's more money being spent on really good animation and art.
I've heard good things about all three of those movies.
Yeah.
But I've never seen any. I think...
You haven't seen any of them?
I haven't.
Oh, man.
I do this thing where, I pull up Crunchyroll, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to dive into a whole movie right now. That's like a 2-hour commitment.
I get that.
And then I, turn on an episode, and then I watch 7 episodes and go to bed 3 hours late. And I'm like, I should just watch the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed that your attention span has kind of been hopelessly obliterated by social media and stuff.
By everything.
You guys, Paul cannot sit and exist. It doesn't matter what we're doing. If there's a 5-second lull in conversation or something, his phone is out and he's looking at girls on the internet.
Hey now.
Just telling the truth.
Just cosplay for research purposes.
We already did that episode. You can't use that excuse anymore.
That's what all those years of research was for.
Now you're preparing for revisiting cosplay 10 years from now?
Yes, actually, yes. There's a thing where I think on Instagram, you can see who liked something, or if you're following them or something, it'll sometimes say also liked by whatever.
Right.
Man, you gotta be careful what you like on Instagram, man. If you don't want to put that out there to everybody in the world.
Are you saying this to me personally or just in general?
Just to everyone.
Okay.
I don't feel like I judge based on this, but there's got to be people out there that be like, oh, this guy liked this? What's wrong with him? You know?
Yeah. I've just never been on any of the social media type things, even on Reddit. Like, I don't upvote things. I don't like things. I just consume the stuff into my head. That's all.
I'm an upvote fan because it's easy and it's a click. I never, ever comment on anything.
Yeah. Anyway, what have you been consuming lately that might be relevant to the podcast?
I did actually just start an anime. I was kind of like, this season of anime, I was like, man, I don't know if I want to watch any of this stuff. Nothing was really speaking to me, but I just kind of looked at like, what's the most popular stuff? And as much as I've loved isekai over the years, the saturation has become insane. It's like 2/3 of the new anime on Crunchyroll are some kind of isekai.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's way too much. But I flipped on one that was highly rated. The names too these days are crazy. It was something like, I'm an assassin, but I'm clearly more powerful than the hero, or something like that.
So you're telling me that you're going to review an anime that you don't even know the name of?
Well, if the name wasn't 15 words long, maybe I would remember.
I'm just saying, how is this useful to our listeners if you
Because
can't
that
even
name
give
was
them
close
something to
enough
Google?
that it would pop up if you Googled it.
I hope you're right, because when I'm editing, I'm going to Google it, and if it doesn't come up as the first result, I'm just going to cut everything you're about to say.
Whatever. This is just the end of episode talk. Who cares if I'm making stuff up, right? But the story and characters are actually really good. Even though I'm getting bored of isekai, a good story is still a good story, and I'm into it now, waiting for the next. I'm all caught up, waiting for the next episode to come out.
Okay, so I think all I got out of that is it has a long, weird name, and the characters are good. Did you want to give any more detail about what the plot is about?
I will say that the main character, who's the assassin, meets a really cute elf girl, and they fall in love, and it's cute.
Assassin and cute elf girl. That's all I need to know.
Yep, it's good.
Nice. Feeling loose?
Yep.
All right, let's jump back to the beginning of the episode now. Thanks for joining us for this fun little experiment. Let us know how you feel about this new format. Well, Paul, we better wrap this up so I can go check on that bath. Make sure it's ready for you. Make sure you got a clean towel spritzed with a little man musk.
Man musk?
Yeah. You know, good smelling man stuff.
Like body wash?
I'm not going to put, like a body spray, I'm not going to put some flowery crap on there for you. I know you don't want to smell like that when you get out of the bath.
I want your body spray so I smell exactly like you.
I'm not sure how to feel about that.
Same. You know, I was at a Timberwolves game the other night, and I got a former player in the shape of a rubber duck. I guess that's a thing now. It was like a human head into like a duck body, and it was made of rubber, and it squeaks, and he's wearing a Timberwolves jersey.
How did we get on this topic?
And I guess that's a thing now.
You lost me at
You
sports.
started talking about baths, and I thought rubber ducky.
Oh,
I have
get
a
it.
rubber ducky now.
Okay. Anyway, before we go, we should thank our Shogun level patrons: Georgette and Caitlin Seymour, John W., Kelly Ardong, Kevin Phillips, Pamela Arola, again,
Yes,
the person
for the
that suggested
episode.
the topic. Thank you very much. Jack, Brady K., Yasmin, and Kevin Harris. You guys are rock stars. Thank you so much for helping us do what we do. We
Thank
also
you.
currently have an emperor, Eric. How's it going, dude? Hope you're having fun. He actually messaged us recently because he was in Japan.
Oh,
he's having
what's
a
up,
great time.
Eric? I hope you had a great trip.
Yeah. If anyone else would like to support the podcast, there are many ways you could do that. You could join Patreon for as little as $2 a month. Like, wow, that's almost free. But if you did want to have access to all of our itineraries and be able to schedule a personal consultation with us to maybe go over your plans or just talk about whatever, there is currently an Emperor tier spot open. That's pretty exclusive. There are only 2 of them, and right now there's one open. So check that out if you're interested.
Yeah, and thanks again to all the patrons that voted in the poll for this episode. It's kind of like exciting for us to leave one topic out of our hands and see where it lands.
Yeah.
And you guys always deliver a fun episode for us.
I like the more interactive stuff on Patreon like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Paul, what are we talking about next time?
We're talking about pro wrestling.
Oh, I thought it was wrestling.
Depends on who you talk to. But yeah. I was there was a time in my life where I was a big wrestling fan, so this should be fun. For me at least.
Yeah, we'll see. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.